Welcome to the Career Shift Social Lift program. It's Saturday, June 12th, 2021. This is our first session. There are people who are joining this program who are both career shifters and social lifters, and there are some people who are focusing on their career and some people who are focusing on their social presence and their brand visibility. And you might fit into both categories. The systems are very similar, but there will be different resources that will be shared to each group. And some people, again, are doing both, and some people are only in one track or the other. I'm actually going through the program myself as I build out the methodology with feedback from each of you. So please do let me know what your thoughts are as we go through each step. And if you have questions, again, jump in at the end and we'll go over any specific questions. The 3 steps for career shifters are creating the roadmap, expanding your network as it relates to your career and your work, and then getting the results that you need to move to that next level that you're looking to get to. Similarly, the social shifters also have a 3-step process to go through as you're looking to achieve more and grow your circle. And it's creating that social roadmap, expanding your network specifically for the mission that you're looking to drive, and then improving your social presence and your branding as you're shifting your social presence. So again, it's making a positive impact with a broader community when you're focusing on your social lift program. And why do I bring us together during these weekly sessions and then also split us up? I think part of the value of being in both the career shifting and the social lifting program together is being able to find the mentors and the mentees, because I think everyone's at a different stage in their career. And the career shifters are really designed for people in the first 10 years of their career, although there's some mid-level, and then there are some people who told me they're 20 years and they're ready to career shift again. And so you may always come back to the shifting part of your career. And often as things change in the social networks and what's working and what's not working, different people have different insights, and being able to bring us all together to share that with each other will allow us to have a broader knowledge of what's going on and how we can help each other change tracks. And especially if you're looking to go into an industry that somebody else has been in, that can also help with the connections. And so with the joint path, we can also make more impact. So often those who are social lifters need the support of the career shifters. And as we grow our movements, we're looking for people to fill different skill sets. And this can also be a pipeline for us to grow our social impact as we grow our network through the career shifters and the social lifters program. And again, this is ongoing support. So once I have this content posted, people who are part of these programs will have lifetime access to both the content as well as the groups. And it'll be ongoing groups as we continue to go live. And my initial thinking is we would do this twice a year, once in the summertime at the half-year point, and once at the end of the year, thinking about 6-month cycles, because often I found that 6-month cycles are what it takes for me to change a career or to update or change what my focus or my mission is with any given organization. And also sometimes it takes 12 months, 2 years, 3 years to make that full shift. And so this is an ongoing support program that allows us to continue to grow with each other. If you go to the janicedru-bennett.podia.com and you're part of the program, you can enroll or you can log in. If you're enrolled, if you're not enrolled, you'll see what's included, and there's some preview content that you can watch with intro videos that I've uploaded and links that are part of this introduction. And if you click through each one of the sections below with the 16 text files, they're not populated yet. As people join the program after these first 6 weeks, they'll be able to access the full 6 weeks of content at any given time. Part of the live program is it allows us to pace ourselves out. And at the same time, if people aren't able to join, you can listen to this on your own time and stretch out the 6-week program over the course of 3 months if that takes, or 6 months if you need to take your time to get through each of the modules. Again, there's 2 programs and people can join both or one or the other. The social shift lift system is really designed for people in the second half of their career, although some people early on may be an entrepreneur. If you're right out of college and you're really interested in expanding your social network as a priority, it really, there's some fluctuation between the age and the amount of experience in each of these groups. I also have a private Facebook group on the very last session, and people can join those at any time. And that's part of my own social lift as I build out groups on Facebook. I've built out a LinkedIn group that's over 400 people for nonprofit executive directors when I was focusing on helping nonprofit executives grow their organizations back when I was in New York. And so there's different levels at different times. You start with 0, and then you always move from 0 to 1 to 5 to 20 to 100. So that's, again, it's an ongoing cycle, and each time you want to go through the process again, you can remind yourself what the tools and resources that I'll add to this on an ongoing basis. And again, as social networks, if TikTok folds, then we won't use TikTok. I actually don't use it myself right now, and that's not one of my goals. But if it is with someone else, then we might end up with someone who grows their TikTok as part of this, and we'll we'll learn from each other. The social shift lift system, again, I've added the videos to the program, and once you log in with it as an enrolled student, then you can see all the different sections. And again, this is an evolving program, so as more people come in and provide different levels of feedback as to what's working and what's not, we'll add modules or perhaps take them away or adjust and continue to upgrade the content. So this morning, I want to really focus on the first step of building your inventory, and whether you're focused on career or social or both, having a good sense of what your social inventory is, as well as what your skills inventory is, can help you start the process. And often people talk about Simon Sinek and the start with why. I often also think about building from the ground up, because I think some folks have difficulty figuring out exactly what their why is. And when you have all the information in front of you and you're building this inventory, and you know what your networks are, what your skills and values are, that can then help you also adjust your mission and your goals. So you can start with, if you know exactly what your priority is and you're looking to open up a new retail business, then you have your priority, and then you can cycle back and figure out where you are from the ground up as well. But again, knowing where you are, choosing your priorities, and building from the ground up is an ongoing cycle that you might be from at any point in your cycle of social shifting, lifting, or career shifting and lifting. I have a Google folder that I've created for this cohort where there's shared files, and both of these files will be shared with both groups. And as I add more files, I'll continue to share files with both groups. And then there's one that will be specifically for the career shifters and one specifically for the social lifters. And we're going to jump into those. And once we go into those, I may, if you want to stay for the full hour with this particular session, we'll probably stop the recording and actually do some work together. And for those who are watching the recording, I would recommend you put aside at least an hour to kind of go through these two documents and make a copy for yourself and work on that initial social audit and audit of your skills and values. So these are, again, the two links, and I'll upload these into the course program so that you can actually make a copy for yourself. There's a couple different tabs that I've created for the social audit that I'll explain as soon as I wrap up this deck, and then I'll also show you the skills and values inventory, where I also have a number of tabs that you can use to assess where you are right now. And I've gone through this multiple times in my career where there's different tools that I have, so I wanted to make it as simple. It can be very complex when you think of all the different social media networks, but I do want us to focus on what's going to make the most impact on each of what our goals are. But I wanted to also provide a comprehensive list that people can also pull from if they're having trouble figuring out exactly what they're interested in. So I have a couple of resources in this spreadsheet that you can also access to kind of dig through and figure out if there's anything else that you want to add to it for yourself. And then you can also delete rows that aren't relevant to you. So again, this is just like a comprehensive initial spreadsheet that people can cut down or add to depending on what your goals are. And I always like to end the deck just by saying, feel free to connect with me on any of my social media if you're not connected already. I have my own business and I also work full time. So that's where I have both the career shift and the social lift. And then I also have this, if you haven't figured out your bank code, that's also something that can help with assessing what your values are. The B is for the builder or blueprint, A is for action takers, N is for nurturers, and K is for the knowledge focused folks, and there's a different order for each of those, and it can be done in 90 seconds if you want to get that done very quickly to figure out what your bank code is. So I'm going to jump right into this folder and the two different spreadsheets that are in here. The social audit. So this is an initial spreadsheet where I kind of categorize social networks. I am not on all of these social networks. I've put the main ones for myself, and you may want to shift, like your three main ones might be TikTok and MeWe and Reddit, right? So your categories may also shift as you kind of assess your own network and where you are. So I categorize the main social accounts. There's video and visual ones, phone apps that you can connect with people through your phone. I feel like events and memberships are also social media type sites, and I included, there's an upcoming event on June 29th with my full-time role that I think will allow you to connect with others. So I've added that in here, along with some of the other sites where you can explore events to connect with people that share with your interests. There's niche, if you're a developer or a designer, there are different networks specifically for you, and then also demographics. So there's valence and melanins for people of color, alpha for women. Lunch Club is for anyone, but you need a private invite. So I have invite codes for some of these here as well. And Current is a knowledge-based platform that I've been contributing to as a facilitator that I also refer people to as well. And then there's, I just did some initial research on additional sites that you can look up to see if there's any that are relevant to you. The Social Media Examiner, if you're not familiar with that, I'm going to pull up. They have this industry report that you can download, and it talks about the benefits of social media. So whether you're, again, trying to improve your presence, or whether you're trying to improve your career, especially if you're in sales or marketing, social media is particularly integral part of what your role might be. And if you're a developer and someone who is not necessarily using social media as much, it could still be helpful for you to understand what the value of it, or who you can connect with, who's part of this group, who is more familiar with all the different aspects of how social media can help you attract the right network. And we'll dive deeper into expanding your network in the second 2 weeks of these 6 weeks together. I started my own audit. So again, once you copy this spreadsheet, you can rename it yourself and the date. And this is something I think, like your finances, may be helpful to do on a regular basis, whether it's every day, every week, every month, every quarter. And I haven't done a full audit of all my sites, and I think this is something where, as a social lifter, your time may be best spent doing what you're doing to further your mission. And at some point, it might be helpful to find a virtual assistant, or someone else who can help you look up all your contacts, or kind of plug you into a system that automatically looks it up for you and has all the tracking for your social media following, and allows you to see where you're at any given point. So I'm going to fully populate this myself, just so I see where things are for myself right now, and then delete the ones that I don't necessarily, or hide the ones that I don't want to focus on over the next 6 weeks to 6 months, based on what my priorities are. Again, you can copy these. The idea is that this is, so that was my personal one. I started a spreadsheet for this group as well. So the Career Shifters and the Social Lifters is a whole new program I'm launching. So we're starting out at 0 and very few initial members on Facebook. We have a number of people enrolled in each program, and I may add that as another section at the bottom too, like how many people are enrolled at any given time. And that'll help track in terms of where my goals are for this particular group. Same thing with my own company that I started in 2011. We're 10 years down the road now, and this is where we are with Facebook. Well, I'll update this based on Facebook followers for Inkwhy, and kind of populate this for my own company. So if you have your own company, having your own personal tab, and then having a company tab, and then perhaps having a project tab. I added also my full-time work right now is with Next Tech AR, and we've got a number of different brands that are part of the company. And I know our marketing team does a great job on social, and I want to take a look and see where we're at right now as well from a social perspective for the company that I work at, because I think that also gives me a sense of what the broader presence is for my full-time work. And then as a passion project of mine as well, I have a new website that I started called sustainabletracker.com. And this is to help track the UN Sustainable Development Goals and figuring out the partnerships and what's going on there. So this is, again, a brand new project. So I created these tabs for myself, and for each of you, as you're enrolled in the program, you can create just one tab for you. If your only focus is on getting your next job, you may, and if you're not in a role right now and you're in between roles, then just focus on what your social presence is, and perhaps research what your target company. So if you have 1, 2, or 3 top companies you want to work for, add those to your social audit so you can see what their social presence is as well, and that may help with factoring in how you might decide whether or not to work with one company or another once you start getting some offers. I think the skills, values, mission statement, and then I have this fill your jar tab as well. This is also a very good exercise to do every few months, or at least once a year, I think, just to do a checkpoint with what are the skills you have that you're an expert at, that you're knowledgeable at, that you're aware, and there may be something that you just don't even know, but you don't really care. So that's where having the kind of check marks to see what you're an expert at and what you'd like to improve. I have this source link here. This is also one of my referral links into this site, and they have a whole dictionary and free resources for people who are managing different. I should just log into this. So once you log in, let me see if I have the right code here. So once you log in, this might help you search for specific frameworks that you might want to research or different details. And they also split it up by category up across the top. So let's say you really want to move from sales to marketing, or from supply chain to HR, then you can see what are the crossover in skill sets, and what perhaps are some additional terminology that you might need to learn, or that you might want to kind of research and build your skill set. And this is, again, just one resource, but there are a lot of other resources that you can use to kind of develop what the skills are that you want. But first step is to realize what your skills are and what you really want. And you can continue to add these. And this is from a management perspective. I started adding some of my personal skills and interests as well at the bottom. So again, you can start filling out your own, and then kind of putting a checklist in here for yourself to figure out what you're good at or what you're not, and what you want to become better at. And often, even when you're an expert, you may still want to continue to get better. So just knowing where you stand can be a good first step. Same thing with the values. I actually took the bank code and kind of listed out some of the different values that they put in there, so that you can actually get a more nuanced score for yourself on the BA and K. And once you fill this out, it'll tell you at the bottom, what the numbers are, and then you can assess whether that lines up with the actual. Here, I'll pull it up here. Where once you go to the site, you just drag your values into 4 rows. Once you click on the crack my code, it'll tell you what you are as soon as you kind of just drag these 4 into four categories, enter your information, and then you'll get your code cracked. I think the mission statement is also something like, and some people may work backwards. Like I said, I like to start with the ground up. If you already know what your personal mission statement is, then you can start by putting it in there, and then kind of filling in your skills and values as they relate to your mission. And again, this may change at any given time. Like last year for 6 months, I had a mission of change the world one person, one mission at a time. And I featured one person every day for about 6 months. And then my mission now aligns more closely with my full-time work, which is to empower the world. And it's still about creating a better future, focusing on immersive technologies and access to technologies for everyone. So taking the corporate mission statement, whether that's the company you work for, or if you have your own company, if you don't have one, figuring out what that is and how it aligns with your personal mission can be helpful. If you're supporting a nonprofit, whether you're on a board or you're a director of a nonprofit, putting that there as well. And then anytime you're working on a major project, thinking about what is the mission of that project as well. So those are kind of the four types of missions that you might have at any given time, one or more. And feel free to let me know if there are other types of missions that you have. Maybe you have a parenting mission statement for you yourself as a parent or a wife or a husband or significant other. And then this last tab here with the fill your rocks. Now, every few years I'll come up with this is what I want to accomplish in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years. And recently I was part of a program with the Catalyst group, and it's called the Catalyst Galaxy, and they had an action map that they with a PowerPoint that I actually filled out with what are the steps I want to do, but I actually decided to do it for the next 30 to 40 years. And so I had a very long-term frame, and I think a lot of people don't think 30 years ahead. And there is that statement, you can, a lot of people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10. And I think we often don't even think about what we can do in 30 or 50 years. And I've worked in the university space where there's a 100-year plan. And I talked to someone who said in Japan, sometimes they'll have a 500-year plan, or, how do they maintain the dynasty? Or so as you think about your 30 years, 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, 6 months, and 6 weeks, the other analogy I like to use is when you're filling a jar and you've got to put in big rocks, little rocks, sand, and water. If you start with the water, you might not get everything else to fit. And so thinking about what are the big rocks, and you can add, 4, 5, 6 rocks. I like to think in groups of 3. So I just put, what are the 3 rocks, which are the major things that we want to get done. And for this program in the next 6 weeks, building out the roadmap, figuring out how to expand the network, and determining what's a key skill that I want to either accomplish in 2 weeks or kind of work on over the next 6 months. Those are the 3 key rocks for to develop with this program. And then I'll start thinking about what are the 3 stones, what are some of the smaller things, like today it's building the inventory. So that's a particular stone. And there might be a lot more stones than rocks. And then very tiny little things that might be like connecting one-on-one with each of the people who are enrolled in the program. And then the water might be the daily things that I'm doing, just checking in on my social media or whatever it is that might be, again, the things that are filling the full all the time that I'm thinking about regularly. Same thing with the 6 months, 1 year, 3 year, as you start thinking farther ahead, the rocks are going to get much bigger and the water might be slightly different as you're shifting from one to the next. So those are the 3 or the two different documents that I have multiple tabs on, again, that we can work through for the last half hour if we want to stay on together. I'm going to stop sharing now and ask if there are any questions, and if you want to unmute yourself and jump in. I definitely think accountability can help. And again, folks generally have given feedback that they prefer to meet on a weekday evening. So weekends might be a little less live people joining. But again, I feel like having the group together on social media as well. So having the private Facebook group, when you are live with someone, so I had just heard training from a coach who said your brains actually sync up much better when you're in person, but the drop off isn't that much when you're live on Zoom. It's like 90% of what you get when you're in person, but it drops to like 10% if you're just listening to the recording. So for those of you who are listening to the recording and not paying as much attention, I would really encourage you to jump in live as often as you can, because I think that does help with keeping us on the same wavelength, and it does create this bond, I think, that can help us figure out what is best for each of us as we're working together on this process. The second half, so, and I anticipate this is how it'll be for all the live sessions, is about an hour, and if we want to stay on a little longer, we can. But I want to, respect everyone's time. So the first half hour, and maybe even 15 minutes, like it'll be just training and resources. And then the second, we'll answer any questions, get any feedback for a few minutes. And then right now, Tamika, you joined in right as we're jumping into actually doing some work together. So I'm going to share this file with both of you. So this is the social audit one. Give me a second. I'm going to put it into chat. So that's the social audit. And I'm going to work on it, and I'll talk out loud as I work on it so that but you can work on your own while I'm working on mine. Because again, this is where another coach had said, you lead by example. So if I'm not doing it, then you're not doing it. So I'm going to show you how I do it. And I may include this recording like on how I'm going to fill this in, because it's going to take time, and it's assessing kind of how much time you can set aside for this work as well, in addition to the training. And I would recommend at least an hour a week on kind of working through some of this. And then if it takes longer, it might take longer depending on which area you're working on to kind of really build. So I'm going to share this one as well. 1 second. This is the skills and values inventory. Create your own folder. So I've got this folder. I think, again, some people are in both programs and some people are only in one. So once I start populating the career shift lift system with stuff just for career and just for social, then I'll give you access. There's actually 2 other social media audit templates that I have in the social shift lift system that talk from Hootsuite. What I've learned is that if you name your files in a way that's consistent, it can help you find them. So for anything that's shared with both the career shift and the social lift programs, I'm going to start by naming it with a B and have numbers. So as I create new files, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that'll be my kind of just sequential order. And then if it's social only, I'm going to do an S, and if it's the career only, I'll add a C. So that's going to be like my numbering system, where I can have like up to 999 files with it being kind of sorted by order. If you're doing both programs, I'm recommending 3 to 5 hours a week out, with the training, and then taking some extra time. Once you have access to this, you'll be able to go back to it at any time. So I feel like it's not a 3-step process that you do once and you're done at any given time in your career. And even in my own full-time role right now, I shifted roles after 3 months. And so in some positions, I've been there 1 or 2 years, and others I've been there, I was in financial services for 7 years, but then I went into all different types of industries. And often if you're an agency, you're working with lots of different types of companies. I think that's part of what I find will be valuable with this, is that I bring to the table like 10 different networks that I'm part of, but as each people join, there's different networks that we're all part of. And I think that helps us extend our reach as well. I heard, so another person I spoke to recently talked about collective knowledge and how important it is for us to think in communities and not independently. And so this is where I think bringing us together live is also what we talked about. You're able to spark new ideas with each other when you're thinking in the moment, and then we'll go off and work on our own things and then come back together and bring insights back together as well. And being very intentional about this as well, because we're, for the social lift program, I'm doing this for both social lift and career lift every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern time. And then social lift only, or the social shifters, are going to be 9 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm doing a Clubhouse at 9 p.m. that I may also be on Zoom and not record. I'll decide. I think you can record on Clubhouse if you have the little recording symbol, but I'm new on hosting in Clubhouse. And part of that is I had joined a group of other women we're helping each other. We all are taking a slice of the pie. Like I'm focusing on social, someone's focusing on health, another person on financial. And so looking at our holistic life, and each of us are going to do Clubhouse rooms on one particular topic. And so I'm focusing on social on Clubhouse, and it is itself a social platform. And sometimes, you're like, I was watching something about how when you're a gamer, you're live streaming, and even if nobody's there, you're still playing the game and you're live streaming, and your whole kind of energy may change as people come in and are watching you. And so sometimes the gamers will actually turn off how many people are watching the live stream so that they can keep that energy and just assume that 100 people are watching, because this is being recorded and there is a broadcast and there is going to be ongoing access to it. And the value of what I'm showing and the resources that I'll have access to, or everyone will have access to, will still have value. But I do think being here in person helps motivate you. You're much more likely to actually take the action. I think if you're the career shifter, starting with the skills and values is probably more important for you. I think the social, but I don't want people to forget about doing the social audit, because I think it does give you, especially if you're in sales and marketing, again, it gives you a sense of what your reach is, and then understanding who your audience is as well for work. Because I've often used social media to find kind of roles or people that I want to connect with. And so you're right. As a career shifter, if you're not as interested in your social lifting right now, the social audit may be something you'll skip. If you're not in a role right now, then you might want to put in that extra time to kind of assess what the social presence is for the companies that you're, like, do that audit for where you want to work, or the place that, and if you are, you mentioned working part-time with a company, you might want to look up their social presence, and just even having those links here as a touch point, then you can click on their links and remind yourself to, follow and share and kind of show your support of the companies that you're working for or with or at.